it appears that, and this was tweeted out by Kyle Kalinske of Secular Talk earlier today, about an hour and a half ago. But it appears that, and this was posted by Mark Bednar, who says in his Twitter bio is a at GOP leader, which comms. So he looks like he some sort of handles communications for some outlet. So he says, Politico labeled Senator Kamala Harris as Biden's running mate that he chose on August 1st, 4 days from now. So it looks like Politico has come out and accidentally reported Kamala Harris as Joe Biden's VP pick. They posted a small blurb on it, and this was posted in a list of other potential candidates. They did an article listing a bunch of potential candidates, and then of all the potential candidates, they highlighted Kamala Harris as Biden's VP pick, as you can see in this image here that somebody took a screenshot of. It says, the text says, Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris to become his running mate for the 2020 election on August 1st. That's 3 days from now, 2 weeks before the Democratic National Convention, after keeping his choice close to the chest for months. In his announcement, Biden called Harris a worthy opponent and a worthy running mate, alluding to the pair's rivalry during the earlier stages of the Democratic primary. She will bring her experience as a prosecutor, household name recognition, and skill as a debater to the ticket. So since this was, noticed and reported out, since then, Politico has come in and has reported now, it has corrected the story, has altered the story. So here was another tweet from David Hookstead that says, Politico published an article claiming Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris as his running mate and announced it August 1st. It's since been changed and scrubbed from the piece. Original on the left, current version on the right. And you can see a link to the story. I pulled the story up here if you want to see. This is a current version of the website right now, and as you'll see, they've removed the identification as for Kamala Harris as the VP pick. So this is something, again, take it with a grain of salt. This is something that does happen sometimes. I mean, there was like a Newsweek article about Hillary Clinton that had been released like days before the 2016 election that it was on their website. They accidentally released it early, and it was calling her it was a story announcing her as the winner of the presidential race. And of course, we all know what happened there. So this is something that will happen from time to time. Reporters will write out stories in advance to prep for a story. And so sometimes they'll write that up. They'll have that ready to go, sort of queued up. And they may submit that to an editor or have it in place in a way that it can be accidentally revealed early. And so I don't know all the technical things that go on behind the scenes there. I've never worked within like a newsroom or anything like that. So you just take it with a grain of salt. This is definitely suspect in my opinion. There's a couple things that sort of stood out to me just that make it feel like they may have potentially been communicating maybe with somebody inside of Joe Biden's campaign, maybe got a bit of an early tip. Maybe they said, listen, I can give you this early so you can prep your story, but you can't report it out officially until I give you the go ahead. And maybe it accidentally got written up in there. But so what it looks like to me, that's sort of just based on the fact that they said, in his announcement, Biden called Harris a worthy opponent and a worthy running mate, alluding to the pair's rivalry during the earlier stages of the Democratic primary. That's just so specific to me that it's just like, if you're going to write that out, it just feels like you know something, like you might know something that's going on there. That's a lot of wording to have to create around something that's totally false. But I'm not a reporter, I'm not a journalist, and I don't know for sure. So I pointed this out to my girlfriend, and she was very suspicious of this. So I'll take it with a grain of salt. I've been told to not to think, not to read too much into it necessarily. And so I do think it's just worth uh hold on one second, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Kyle Kalinske is the one that originally tweeted this out. So if he is seeing it, at least he retweeted it. Sorry, he retweeted this originally. So uh if if I'm wrong, then Kyle's also a little wrong about this. So I'm just saying here. So if so I think that, and that matters, that Kyle Kalinske, he's a very astute political observer, that dude. And if he's seeing this and saying something, then I'm just going to go ahead and also be suspect of this. And so if this is true, I just want to make some comment. If this is true, this is terrible. This is horrendous. I mean, Kamala Harris is I have to imagine, possibly the worst possible pick of all the bunch. I mean, she's terrible. She's terrible across the board. This is, Kamala Harris is a cop. She's a former prosecutor. I don't have up, this just came out, so I didn't prep a bunch of stuff, but we could run through her terrible record of, her prosecutorial record. She had a dude that was on death row who they received evidence that this dude, like DNA evidence strongly suggested that they had the wrong person on death row, and she refused to allow the evidence to be brought in and to allow that to overturn this death row inmate's death sentence. And I don't know about y'all, but personally I am against the death penalty, simply for the fact that we get it wrong a percentage of the time. It's something like 3%. That's three out of every 100 people we murder the wrong person. That's like probably a lowballing of the number. And so that alone is enough for me to say this isn't, that's not something that I can get behind. So Millie says, I wonder why they just rewrote an entire blurb about Kamala Harris rather than just delete it, because the rewrite doesn't offer anything new or different, if that makes sense. And Thanatos, I looked that up, how to pronounce that. So Thanatos says, yeah, I see Kyle Kalinske's retweet of it right now. It's good to keep in mind whether it becomes confirmed or not if she gets picked. Yes, exactly. So we should keep this in mind for sure, especially that quote, because that's really suspect. A worthy opponent and a worthy running mate. If we see that pop up, then we know this was information they received early. I mean, I don't have too much to say on the Biden thing. I've sort of I've disengaged a bit from electoral politics because of after Bernie lost the race. I just don't think that it's going to be an effective arena, an incredibly effective arena for us necessarily over the next 4 years, and that we can better focus our time on building democracy close to us and in the places that we spend the majority of our time, instead of trying to beg these oligarchs for democracy. Because, I mean, we got Trump versus Biden, which is a Republican versus a Republican, two right-wing thinkers versus one another. Both want to cut Social Security and beef up the military budget and increase policing. And so, Joe Biden said he wants to increase funding for police. Meanwhile, I'm out here trying to defund police. So, yeah. So just something to take and keep in mind, over the next few days. If this is true, I mean, they're all, what's his pick? Who is he picking from anyway? They're all neoliberal, just garbage picks. So I don't care. I don't care that, I mean, I should, I know he's going to pick a woman, but you know who else has a woman as their VP? A black woman as their VP? Howie Hawkins, the Green candidate for president. So I'm perfectly cool voting for Howie Hawkins for president. And if identity politics is all you care about, well, there you go. You got a candidate that you can get behind and support already, who already put a black woman on his ticket. And so, he just also happens to support all the policies that we on the left, at least claim we nominally support. So Medicare for all, Green New Deal, raising the minimum wage, $15 minimum, but higher based on cost of living. So, it supports all of that. And so this just, the identity politics of this just grosses me out. Black woman as president, Klobuchar was originally up for it, but after she was connected to the George Floyd George Floyd matter, because she had let the cop Derek Chauvin go free when he had done this before, and didn't chose not to prosecute him before when he had abused authority in the past, and I think killed someone, or at least violently assaulted somebody. But I believe he killed somebody before. Yeah, he killed an indigenous man, I believe, before. And so that ended her run, her potential to be the VP pick. So then, so with Biden, I think that at this point, he's just playing identity politics to cater and pander to a small subset. Mostly, honestly, the polls have shown that the people most impacted by these identity politics are suburban white women, are the most impacted by this form of politics right here. The identity politics, they're the most concerned about the vice presidential pick being a woman, and particularly a woman of color. So you're not seeing that black people outrightly rejected Kamala Harris. I mean, when she ran, you see how abysmally she did. She had to drop out before California because she didn't want to be embarrassed going on that ticket. And she dropped out, I think it was the day or days before she would have been forced to remain on the ballot in California, which would have likely sunk her chances as a VP pick, even because she would have performed so abysmally. And so, I mean, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe Andrew Yang might have been polling higher than her at that point in her own state. And so she was way down there, polling single digits and just dropping week to week. And so she had to get out before then. And again, she just has a horrible prosecutorial record. Her stance on truancy, she was locking up, she thought it was a good idea to lock up parents of truant kids who skipped school. She thought that it would be a good idea to punish those children by taking their parents away from them, because that's, and there you go. That's family separation right there. We talk about, Trump with family separation. There goes family separation right there. And we already know about Joe Biden's record on being, the vice, the deputy deporter in chief, because he was the second in command to the deporter in chief. And so family separation and the like is nothing new. Kids in cages is nothing new to these people. Thanks for watching Radical Democracy Podcast. I'm your host, Kamali Rose. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel, and if it doesn't bother you, hit that bell below to receive notifications whenever we go live or launch a new video. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you can afford it, do me a huge favor and head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/radicaldemocracy and throw me a few bucks. Whatever you can afford, it goes a long way, and I will greatly appreciate it. It helps the channel to continue to exist and to grow, and I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. All right, peace. All right, that was a good one. That one's it.